thank you for joining us for today's 13th of February's Thought for the Day. The readings for today are Exodus 23, Psalm 77 and Mark chapter 9, and the title of today's thought is I believe, help my unbelief. What did Jesus mean exactly when he said all things are possible for one who believes? In Mark chapter 9 verse 23. His remarks were made in the context of some of the disciples failing to heal a boy who was suffering from what we would call today epilepsy. Jesus had been called away with his three most intimate disciples. His remarkable transfiguration had taken place in their presence on the mountain. In the meantime, his remaining disciples had attracted a great crowd around them. Verse 14, because of a man who brought his epileptic son in the hope of a healing. He tells Jesus, I asked your disciples to cast it out, but they were not able. Verse 18. He then asks Jesus, if you can do anything, have compassion on us and help us. Jesus responds, all things are possible for one who believes. The father cries out, I believe, help my unbelief. Jesus then heals the boy. The father's cry is one we can resonate with. It seems inevitable that there is a limit to our total conviction of faith. The disciple who failed to heal later asks him privately, why could we not cast it out? And he said to them, this kind cannot be driven out by anything but by prayer. They had reason to believe they could heal. We presume because Jesus earlier gave them authority, chapter 6 verse 7, to heal, and he had sent them out 2 by 2 to preach and to heal, and they were successful, we read in verse 13. After Jesus ascended to heaven, miraculous gifts were given at Pentecost, initially to the disciples, but Paul wrote they will pass away, 1 Corinthians 13 verse 8. However, 3 things will remain: faith, hope, and love. These 3. In the end, only one will abide, love, because faith and hope will be fulfilled. It is James in his letter who makes the vital point that the prayer of the faith will save the sick, and the prayer of a righteous person has great power in its working. James gives Elijah as an example. The ESV gives an alternate translation in a footnote. The effective prayer of a righteous person has great power. This is parallel to the wording in the AV. Meditating on the Father's plea as to our heading, how many times in desperate situations have we expressed similar words? Answered prayers are wonderful, yet overriding all our prayers is the example of Jesus in his prayers in the Garden of Gethsemane. My Father, if it be possible, nevertheless, not as I will, but as you will. Matthew 26 verse 39. Have not all of us expressed the frantic Father's prayer, I believe, help my unbelief, at some stage in our lives? The end result of our times of trauma, although may not be immediate, it is to sense we are closer to God, that his presence is more real to us than we receive help, which on some occasions is quite miraculous. Thank you for joining us for today's Thought for the Day. We pray you may find it helpful, and if you do, please share it with a friend. And remember, as you go about your daily tasks, try and do all to the glory of God, remembering that the antidote to sin is not just not to sin, but to do good. Join us again tomorrow for another Thought for the Day. Thank you, and may God bless you.